Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. And immediately, I'm sure you'll notice something different about my webcam. I got a new webcam from a lovely family member of mine because, yesterday was Christmas, and it is this very interesting AI powered, automatically looking at my face webcam, and it has 60 frames, and the lighting's actually pretty good, although there are still a few things I need to figure out with that. And the resolution is incredible. So we're going to try it out for one video and see how it is. But Merry Christmas. I know I haven't uploaded in quite some time, and that's because I've been busy frolicking in the Christmas spirit and enjoying my time off from school before that gets abruptly destroyed in approximately 2 weeks' time. So for this Christmas, I bring you the gift of more car news because new numbers have just dropped for the Corvette C801 that I recently reviewed in a previous video of mine that got actually almost 1,000 views. And I really enjoy talking about cars and being geeking with numbers, and apparently you guys also enjoy it too, so I'm going to make another video on it. And if you know even the slightest bit about cars, you'll figure out pretty quickly that the Corvette C801 is truly what it means to be an American. It is true. The petrol is made of pure American tobacco and blood, and the Corvette C801, the 2025 model, is absolutely insane. I know I made an entire video dedicated to it and how I spoke about, its high horsepower number and its price range. We have just gotten a lot of confirmation with some specific track times, like its quarter mile and its actual 0 to 60 time confirmed, set in stone on paper, and it's nuts. Let's just say it's nuts. So get your American flag, your shotgun, and your cowboy hat, and a piece of wheat to stick out of your mouth, and strap in because we're about to take a pretty wild ride on this twin turbocharged beast. And I'm sure the Italians and the British are quaking in their boots. All the hypercar and supercar makers, not the hypercar makers, but all the supercar makers, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Maserati, all these people, their knees are shaken because the American Eagle is coming full throttle. And the more you get into how purely insane the Corvette C801 is, you'll realize that this car isn't only just an insane statement piece from GM, it's also just a supercar killer. It's a supercar on a budget, but the actual budget part doesn't even matter that much because the car itself is much better than most supercars. And let's get this out of the way real quick. I don't think the Corvette C801 looks better than, let's say, a Ferrari 812 GTS or a Lamborghini SVJ. I also don't think that the Corvette C801 would most likely beat a Ferrari 812 or an Aventador SVJ, but maybe it could. I don't know. I would still take an Italian, V12 over an American V8, but hey, that's just me. In my free time, I've been doing quite a bit of research on this new Corvette C801. I've been getting some of the pretty technical numbers for you, and I will also be showing you guys some different images and different angles of the car so you can actually know what I'm talking about. So the two big elephants that just walked into the room, the two most notorious numbers that every single person, not even car people, will know, the horsepower and the 0 to 60 time. We actually spoke pretty briefly on the 0 to 60 time last video, so we're going to say right now that the 0 to 60 time for the new Corvette C801 is 2.3 seconds. That is insane. Imagine being at a complete standstill and then to complete highway speed 60 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. And I know that's not the highest number you've heard, but that is pure insanity. And just for a sort of opposition, if you will, the previous 01, the C701, which is still one of my personal favorite Corvettes. I like it more than the C801, but my personal favorite is the C706. But regardless, the Corvette C701 went a 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds. Now for the horsepower numbers, the Corvette C801 is pushing out 1,064 horsepower from factory. It's a completely stock car. You can go into a Chevy dealership, pick up a Corvette, and you'll immediately have over 1,000 horsepower beneath the pedal underneath your foot. That is insane. We have seen nothing like this in America before. You have the Ford GT, which is arguably the most famous American-made hypercar of all time, right? You have the GT40, which is the racing edition. You have the different versions of the Ford GT, and it is a crazy car. It is absolutely stunning. It is low to the ground, 9 miles per gallon, so you know it's a true American car. but it only has a V6 and it only makes what, 600, 700 horsepower. The Corvette C801 is more powerful, has a bigger engine, and is a complete fraction of the price of America's hypercar, which is the GT. That is completely insane. And just for quick reference, the Corvette C806, which has already been out, has only 660 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 5.5 liter V8. So you can see Chevy took the 5.5 liter V8 they found in the C806, and instead of making it naturally aspirated, they shoved two big old turbos on it to give it that beautiful 400 horsepower boost. Just to put it into reference, I will be going over a quick little list that I compiled of some of your personal favorite supercars that the Corvette C801 will absolutely demolish. So we have the Acura NSX, we have the Ford GT, like I said, the Huracan STO, the 488 Pista, the McLaren 720S, the Porsche 911 GT2 RS. We also have the Aventador S, we have the Aston Martin DBS Superleggera, you have the Mercedes AMG GT Black Series, you have the GTR Nismo from Nissan, the F-Type from Jaguar, the Evora GT, and that's just the tip of the iceberg that this pure blood American bald eagle of a car will absolutely shred from a dig, from a roll, from absolutely anything. And speaking of speed, the Corvette C801 reaches the quarter mile in 9.6 seconds. And for a comparison, the Corvette C701 only reached the quarter mile in, what was it, 10.8 seconds? So a massive upgrade from its previous generation. I know it doesn't seem that fast, right? A quarter mile is just a quarter of a mile, right? It's like what, 1,400 feet, something like that. But so many people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours spending time modifying their cars, modifying their Fox bodies, modifying their, like their 2JZs and all this stuff, trying to reach 1,000 horsepower, trying to attempt to reach the quarter mile in as little time as possible. And there is a massive scene called drag racing that the car community is focused on getting the smallest amount of time possible. And for reference, some of the fastest cars on this planet, which are called dragsters or top fuel dragsters, can reach the quarter mile in 3.4 seconds. And I know 3.4 seconds is a massive leap from 9.6 seconds, but you have to realize that this car that I'm talking about, the Corvette C801, is completely stock. We're talking no modifications. We're talking no aftermarket purchases. We're talking from the factory. You pick this thing up, this bad boy up from the Chevy dealership, you can immediately reach a quarter mile in 9.6 seconds. And this also comes into fruition when you talk about the car's downforce, because it has a lot. Especially with the optional ZTK performance package, you have a lot of different carbon fiber parts, you have a lot of different side skirts and front lips and all this stuff, and then you also have the massive carbon fiber rear wing, which you could probably land an F-22 Raptor on because of how big it is. And all of this crazy high speed, this 1,000 horsepower, 9.6 second quarter mile, you can achieve with 93 octane. You can achieve this by picking it up off the Chevy dealership, driving to your local Shell gas station, and purchasing 93 octane. Imagine if you add aftermarket parts and you get a E85 tune. This car can easily, I mark my words, easily achieve 1,500 plus horsepower with very little modifications. The Corvette C801 also comes with Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires, which are notorious for making a lot of records on the Nürburgring, which I'm really excited for this car to debut on the Nürburgring. I'm really excited to see if it can actually achieve some impressive American numbers. So all of this yapping, all of this numbers that don't make sense to probably most people, boils down to the one number that we all are universally afraid of when it comes to purchasing literally anything, and that is the price. We have no unfortunate confirmation on the price yet, but I project it will be around 175 to 190,000 United States dollars, which is quite a hefty price for an American vehicle. It's quite a hefty price that you have a massive engine, and the American vehicle will probably get, let's say, 12 miles to the gallon if we're being generous. But you have to put it into consideration because it is a race car. It is a supercar. As I mentioned earlier, the Lamborghini Huracan STO, which is one of the cars that the Chevrolet Corvette C801 will absolutely demolish from any point, is $334,000 starting MSRP. So you have something that is a little over $100,000 for a Lamborghini that will get absolutely demolished in any sort of race by an American supercar worth probably no more than 200 grand from factory. We are now leaving the realm of American muscle. There is no muscle here. This is pure unfiltered, unadulterated, steroid inducing strength. This is no longer American muscle. This car isn't in the same category as a Mustang or a Camaro or a Dodge Charger or Challenger. One might even go to say that this car is leagues above even the Ford GT, but I know a lot of car enthusiasts are going to get mad at me for saying that one, because this car can absolutely destroy the Ford GT in everything except for looks and except for history and except for a lot of things. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of how the Corvette C801 looks. If it was all in the chassis and the beautiful bodywork of the Corvette C7, I've said multiple times, the Corvette C7 Z06 is my personal favorite Corvette. I believe it is the peak of Corvettes, and you'll hear a lot of old heads say, oh, but the Corvette C1 and the Corvette C3 are the peak of Corvette. And then you'll hear some weird emo Deftones listening boys say, oh, but the Corvette C5, you gotta slam it, put it on bags and tint it and make weird mismatched body panels. Like, that's not the peak of Corvette. That's not what Corvette is. We can all disagree, you know, whether you're 15 or 55, we can all disagree that the Corvette C4 is the worst Corvette generation ever. But again, that's not the point of this video. I'm not too big of a fan of the Corvette C801 because of how it looks. Now, I love the fact that it is, let me center my webcam a little bit. There we go. I love the fact that it is an absolute monster. I love the fact that Chevy put a beast under the hood of this car, and it's probably going to sound insane. And I also love the fact that it's not a hybrid. There are no electric components here, meaning that this is pure unbridled American fuel and rage. But I'm not too big of a fan of it because I don't like the C8 platform. I don't like how it looks. I don't like the interior. I don't like the exterior. If you look at the side body panels, it looks like a salmon's trying to eat something. It's not the best looking car in my opinion. If I had $185,000 to $200,000 to just willy-nilly spend on any car, I would sooner go for an older Lamborghini or Ferrari than a Corvette C801. Maybe I'm just crazy, but when it comes to high horsepower numbers and incredible cars like these, it stops being so much about speed and it only starts to become about the car itself, if that makes sense. And I know some of my personal friends and family members will watch this video and be blown away by what I just said, because I am all for new cars and I'm all for speed, which is objectively not true. Now, the Corvette C801 is revolutionary when it comes to stock vehicles. I mean, after all, we have an entire other category that is completely above supercars, which are hypercars, and even some hypercars will get dusted by the Corvette C801. But of course, then you have Pagani, Bugatti, and then you have Koenigsegg, and then you have all the other lesser known hypercars. You have the Hennessy Venom F5, and then you have all these other more lesser known hypercars that will destroy the Corvette C801. But that's not the point again. All in all, this thing is absolutely amazing, and it will definitely set the groundwork for faster from factory cars. It will definitely precedent the word supercar being used in the same terminology as American cars. And I'm very excited for the future of Corvette. I'm very excited for the future of Chevy, and I'm very excited for the future of cars in general, except for Jaguar and except for Mercedes and except for other cars. But hey, I mean, this new Corvette could definitely bring a breakthrough. And that's it. I mean, I nothing else to really say. I just wanted to give a quick technical breakdown and get a nice video out there and try out my new webcam because I really like it. I think it's really cool, and I think I can definitely find a way to use it in a video for once. So, like always, Merry Christmas and stay safe.